When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just
welcome, dear friends. We're here to discuss and analyze Life of Pi with Rana Yalchin. Today is June 3rd, 2020. And we are, I guess, ready to hear from you, Rana. Welcome.
Hello.
Rana, how would you like to describe yourself?
I'm Rana. I'm a student from America. I'm currently residing in Dallas. I'm originally from Turkey, and I am currently, even though I'm in Dallas, I'm actually based in Maryland. I go to Maryland Institute College of Art, and I study graphic design and film. And I really like watching movies, and I'm also Ava's niece. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say your family name sounds a little familiar, and
Yeah.
And the way I know that you were raised with the movies is very familiar with me too, because going to the movies or renting a movie at our house was a big family tradition. So like Star Wars or Superman, we would just like go to the movies with my parents, especially with my dad or your dad, who happens to be my brother, Rana. So originally with Rana, of course, who happens to be my niece, we speak in Turkish. So sometimes you might just hear us switching to Turkish. Maybe she won't, but I might. So please just ignore that. And I am looking forward to hear your perspective on Life of Pi, Rana, because I have some ideas, and I know everybody has here too. But we'll start with now what you think. How would you like to start talking about Life of Pi, Rana?
So it is a movie that came out in 2012, and I remember going to see it with my mom at a mall, and I was just so intrigued by it. I had no idea what it was about. I just saw that it was a Oscar winner movie. I think it won the best director at that year, and I was just blown away by it because I had no idea what it was about, and it was just so eye-opening in a lot of ways. And I thought about that movie for a lot after seeing it, and I watched it many times, and I watched it again even last night, and every time I see it, I feel like I see different things, and it's one of those rare movies where I think it manages to capture a lot of things about life that includes family, religion, and life experiences and the troubles we go through in life. And yeah, it's a great movie, and it's an important movie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a book. It's based on a book, by the way, which should be noted.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're talking about the movie today.
Well, actually, we'll be talking about whatever perspective you would like to start with. I know we will discuss it with the group, but the movie has many dimensions. Even the way people were chosen, the story of people, the way that they shoot the movie, and the story itself. They are all big kind of like oceans of information. So what was what is important for you about this movie? What perspective or what dimension would you like to start the discussion with?
Yeah, like we mentioned, there are lots of ways. There are lots of ways to look at it. I saw this when I was 14, and I doubt I understood what it meant at that time. But now, after rewatching it again, I think, in my opinion, it's about religion mostly, and because there's a character, the main character is dealing with an identity issue, in my opinion, and he looks at every religion possible and tries to find what to believe. And he also he practices all of them, which I don't know how would that work, but he seems to me that he did find the way. He did find the purpose and peace within him through those religions. So that's what I got from it. That is the main thing. Yeah.
So you mentioned family, religion, life experiences, and identity issues with your like recent watching of this movie. So with Pi, what part of with the story, starting of the story, did all this identity issue, you think, did it all start in the beginning of the movie, or did Pi decided to seek for things too? How did
Yeah,
Pi start his journey, you think?
certainly. I think the most obvious one at the beginning of the movie was where where they make fun of his name, but he disagrees with that, and he finds a way for the other kids to be known for. He switches his identity to become the one, that kid that can write all the pi numbers, and because of that, because of his because of that, he manages to be that kid where everyone knows, and it's not for a bad thing, that like it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So would you like to open up for empathic perspectives now? What would you like to open up the conversation to the guests? What do you think?
Yeah,
I know
of course.
Jay, Ashley, Karen, and Abdul. Let's continue the conversation together. Let's understand what we think.
Yeah, well, I haven't watched that movie in a very long time, so I was just gonna listen.
That's okay.
I was gonna listen. But I mean, is this the movie where the person goes on the boat with the tiger?
Yeah. That's the one.
Yes, I mean, I remember just like finding the visuals very, very powerful. But really the thing that has stuck with me is when he's on the boat and he looks up at the infinitude of the sky, the black sky and the stars. That just has stayed with me for years and years, and seeing it on a big screen, just being enthralled by that. And also the technique of making that tiger, which is animated, just so beautifully, like just stunning. And that actor, if I'm not mistaken, that actor just passed away.
Yeah, Irrfan Khan.
Yeah, I mean, he's so fantastic.
Yeah, we posted this event in loving memory of Irrfan Khan and how he really, he served big to the whole movie industry.
Yeah, I mean, I was heartbroken actually hearing of his death, really heartbroken. Yeah. He's so good in many films, in that one and many other films too. So fantastic. It's going to make me want to watch the film again.
You should watch it. You should.
Yeah, the book is he was an immigrant, I think, but it's a Canadian writer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the final is Canadian. So you're welcome, everyone. Jay, were you going to say something, or I have questions if...
I'll jump in. I'll give a contrary point of
Mhm.
view, I think, just for fun. I, you know, I remember I remember watching the movie and the film, and I liked how it started. You know, I liked the family dynamic. The shipwreck, and I really enjoyed the characters, the you know, Pi and the animals on the ship. But from there, it kind of lost its way a bit for me. Right, it became a little tedious. There were some wonderful scenes. You know, the stars in the sky, the island, right, which was wonderful. I really enjoyed the ending, but I felt that it meandered a little bit. And the ending of the film redeemed it for me. It made it much more interesting than it was. So yeah. So it wasn't 100% positive. I wasn't enthusiastic as some of the critics were, but I also read some that felt like I did, which I thought, oh, maybe I better watch this again and see if I missed something. But some of the critics agreed with me about its meandering quality. As well, I think I didn't read the novel. I don't know if anyone's read the novel, but I felt that that perhaps the film was pulling punches a bit and removing some of the darker edges of the themes that were coming out. And it was a bit too much of a fairy tale for me. I think it was promising, but I think they held back a little bit.
I think it's hard to put in a film like everything that's in a novel. You know, I think sometimes short stories are more easily translatable to film. I think films often have to cut stuff that's in a novel. It's very hard to put everything in. It's a shorter form.
Well, each time I saw the movie, I saw it several times, and I so regret I never saw it at a movie theater, because usually I'm a movie theater person, but for some reason I couldn't see this one at a movie theater setting, which I believe it's their loss, at least for now. Each time I see it, I can't stop but just be curious, like, is this the reality, or is this the dream, or is this the hope, is this the real life? So I find myself kind of like lost in between perspectives. And on the other hand, in the end, it's all about like that perspective. Rana, what do you think?
Yeah, at the end, it really shifts. It really changes. The tone really changes at the end, and then it makes you doubt whether what you watched for like 2 hours was real or was not real. And I don't think it was real. That's just my opinion. But also, they state that they will actually never know whether it was real or not, whether he made 2 of the versions up or he made just 1 of them up, and which one was real or not. Yeah.
But wasn't it go ahead, Rana.
No, actually, no. Go ahead.
Wasn't it surprising, like that kind of like a dreamer and wanderer movie after a point started with super high reality of Pi's dad's perspective, direct, Pi's mom's perspective directly, and with the animals, especially Peter Parker's perspective, dad's perspective on like if he has a soul or not. Like, I think like, because I'm a family coach and I work with families, and but it's not only about the family that we are living in. What I found a lot about in this movie is it's the family that we grew in and going back. So Pi's dad's perspective of the reality, and how he kept saying, like, there's nothing called soul, like it's just like your perspective in Peter Parker's eyes, that he has a soul or he feels what you feel. And then mom's perspective of being more spiritual and all that. I think that's how, with that richness of different ideas of the diversity, religious diversity at home, maybe Pi carried that along with trying all the different perspectives. And it's so funny when I saw, each time I left, he is at the dinner table and he shares his next religion, saying like, I am I am this now. And it was just like so funny. In the beginning you would just think like it is about the name of the religion or the belief system, but after some point it comes to a different version of spirituality, and really questioning if you want to believe in any kind of belief or not.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that too. Thinking of a boy's perspective of trying things on like new clothes, you know, and trying out identities, as Rana said. I enjoyed that. But Eva, it's Richard Parker. It's Richard Parker. Yeah, Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
And you know, this is too much me. This is what I do. Yeah, Peter, I was sure when I was writing Peter Parker, this seems super weird and familiar. Thank you, Jay. This is so me. I do this a lot, but thank you.
Rana, did you learn anything about that name, Richard Parker? Is there anything to that? Is there any point to that name?
Richard Parker? Is there?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually.
oh, okay.
I can look it up.
Well, I'm curious to know any perspectives about the pool scene in the beginning, and that's perspective on like why the pool, and like while he was swimming under the pool, watching all, I think British lifestyle people. Does that ring any bell? What does that, do you remember that scene? Really in the beginning of the movie.
The pool where it's like super clear.
Yes, super clear swimming pool, and Pi's dad's dreams about like perspective of the life. Does anybody have anything about that?
I never thought of that actually, so I'm not sure what to say. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other scenes? I have a list of the scenes, friends. If you leave it to me, I will find all these detailed. I'll try to be more careful with the names. No promises, though. So is there any scenes or perspectives in your mind that you would like to bring?
Yeah, you were just making me remember the end. He's in Montreal or something. Like all of a sudden you're off the boat and he's like very real discussion. You're right. Very shocking. Mm-hmm. The end of it. Mm-hmm. Reminding me of the end of it. Mm-hmm.
I looked up the name Richard Parker, and apparently there's a story, maybe I missed it in the movie, but when Pi's father had papers of the man who captured the tiger, his name was Richard Parker, and
Oh, okay.
the tiger's original name was Thirsty, but Pi's father, he made a mistake by switching the names, so it just got stuck. So the tiger's name became Richard Parker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Rana, you said you found identity issues, and in your recent watching of the movie, you found some religious perspectives. What would you like to share about that?
Yeah, I was just thinking about it, and I think, like I said, I think the story is made up by him, and I think it's his way of interpreting uh he searched for the true way of religion all his life, and I think he believes he found that way through that story, even though it never happened. I think that's his way of discovering it. So he did made up that story. Maybe some of it was true, or he just believes in it so much that he thinks it happened while during that um, accident or incident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Was I clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Hi.
hi Abdul,
Yeah,
welcome.
Ran, I kind of like the ambiguity though, you know, of not being sure. You know, that appeals to me, whether it's real or whether it's not. Even the ending scene, you know, where I think, was it a psychologist or a doctor's report or something?
Yes.
It says that he was with a Bengal tiger, you know, and I like that they left the uncertainty in all the way along, you know, whether he was dreaming or real or some combination of those. You know, I like that. I like the uncertainty.
Yeah.
Me too. I don't like it if I think it's like it's a strength. I think sometimes artists think they have to hit you over the head with their point, and sometimes it's better that it's more subtle when it's more open-ended in art.
Mm-hmm. Abdul,
Well,
welcome again. Oh, sorry, Jay.
no, go ahead.
Abdul,
Where's
would you
Abdul?
like to share any ideas? Welcome.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Firstly, uh, honestly, I didn't watch the movie, but I read the story about it on Quora, and it got my attention. And I think it's a blockbuster movie. And so I don't know if my voice is clear or not.
It's okay.
Maybe it's clear. Yeah, and I think for me, it's a good movie because I see that he had to survive because I think his ship is damaged in the ocean, and he had to survive with his tiger during the story. And I read that he tells his story to two officers from Japan, you know, who are investigating about him, you know, because it is a surprise for him to find someone who live with tiger alone in the ocean, but they don't believe his story, you know. They saw that it is fake, you know, because it is strange to remember something like that. And you know, for me, and now I'm very curious to watch this movie after this meeting, you know. Yeah, I would like to watch it. So I prefer to listen more than speak because I don't have more to talk about it.
Okay, then we'll do our best to not to give you some spoilers. We might. So you're taking a risk, but it will be even more fun because we might even give you some fake spoilers. So watch for that, okay? So about the symbols in the movies, in this movie, would anybody like to share about the symbols they could catch? Because I have some.
Well, let you go ahead. So
Okay.
maybe we will remember
Okay,
more stuff. Yeah.
I think I was so excited to talk about this all the time. So the way I see it, like the way he describes his own motherland, like the mainland belief system, was gorgeously impressive. Like the lights, the beliefs, like his mom telling stories about his mom's belief system, like the colors, orange, and the nature. That night where they were putting the candles on the lake, so that was a super natural, but I would say non-Abrahamic religion, but still like a super strong belief system. And the way he walks between the religions is very peaceful too. Like, yeah, he surprises his family when he says, like, I'm Christian, I'm Muslim, or I'm just like, this and that, with the perspectives, but it's always a peaceful step. And that little young boy's curiosity of what should I choose? It's like being in a candy store and he wants to choose the best tasting, best satisfying taste he wants to carry in his life. But it seems like there is something going on and he's always looking for the other one. He enjoys the current one, but then he's looking for the next one. And it's inspiring because when he finds himself on a ship, maybe an ark with all the animals, and we know what that means, and now there's a storm, so there comes a biblical perspective.
Absolutely.
And like his journey of maybe he is even losing his family, his mom, his dad, and all his belongings. He's moving to another country already, so he lost his country, parents, brother, and it seems like everything he used to believe as like the religion is left there too, because there's no land anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I was shocked to witness him. Okay, where is the land? You need a land, boy. Like, where are you gonna live? And all of a sudden, he doesn't even own a land. He doesn't have a land, and the only thing he has is that. What does that symbolize? Like, he has himself and the tiger.
It's like a story of immigration, like the way you're telling it. The story of every immigrant who has to leave their home and go to a place they don't know. But, it's interesting you ask about symbols. And I don't know Jungian symbols, but I have a feeling that the tiger is meaningful to like the psychologist Jung, and I don't know what the Jungian meaning of the tiger would be. I don't know if anybody here is a expert on Jung.
Well, I wish I had some friends here. I know I have a couple of friends who would be speaking good here. I can't, but I know in the symbolic world, tiger seems to be symbolizing his soul. and he is in this with his soul or his passions. And he sometimes, in several times, he is trying to get rid of the tiger because he feels like it will damage because it's untrained. And Pi is not sure if the tiger will hurt him or not. Then he's trying to protect himself, and he's first trying to ignore and switch places and all that. And there was a time that he was about to kill the tiger to protect himself, but that moment he looks in the eyes of tiger, and he decides not to kill the tiger. Then there's the connection. He starts training the tiger. Yeah, I can hear the immigration story, Karen. However, I would like to really see it more than immigration. Maybe it's the moving of oneself to another level of understanding. Yeah,
Well,
he seems. Go ahead, Jay.
yeah, I'll jump in there. Yeah, so tigers symbolize in Asian cultures things like willpower and courage, inner strength, those sorts of things. And it's also interesting in that that there's the two in Chinese culture you'll see them together. You see the tiger and the dragon. Have you ever noticed that? Right, the tiger and the dragon. Over an old Chinese restaurant, they'll have the tiger and the dragon. Well, the dragon is the masculine principle, right? And the tiger is the feminine principle, yin and yang, right? So willpower, courage, and so on, inner strength. Of course, what's interesting at the end of the movie is the tiger leaves them.
Oh, that's.
Remember, and so what does that mean? Does he no longer need inner strength? Now he's back in civilization. And so through the movie, when he's wrestling with the tiger, he's thinking about killing the tiger off. It's you're on a shipwreck and you're ready to give up and die. And yet he keeps the tiger alive with the fish and all that, right? So yeah, there's interesting Asian stuff going on.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the tiger represents his willpower, and tiger kind of learns that he can't survive if he eats pie, but pie can survive without the tiger because he doesn't really need him physically, but he needs him emotionally. And by time Pi disciplines the tiger, and tiger just stops attacking him at every chance he gets because he realizes Pi actually feeds him. So I do agree with that. I think the tiger is a combination between the willpower and also the soul. And the second the tiger doesn't need Pi anymore because it's an animal, so the tiger just leaves, and the tiger just ignores everything that happened. And I think it's very symbolic with the willpower, because when we have to, we will get disciplined. When we don't have to, it's really difficult to control our willpower. So yeah.
I wonder if there is the fact of becoming, like, again, with moving, it could be moving from a country to another country, or it could be losing things, but it could be about pandemic too. Like some things that you are super used to, your style, your lifestyle, or your health, or whatever you have, and then unexpectedly, unplanned, every plan is changing, and now all of a sudden you want that life that you planned, but it's not there. and his power, Pi's realizing that he can continue, or he has a choice. He could give up. He could just like, you know, do nothing and just ignore the fact like he could continue because he was the only person left. So what made him continue? Because he was starving at a point. And he had to change a lot of things. He was supposed to not eat a fish. Then he had to kill a fish and eat the fish. So he went in the opposite direction of his original plan in the beginning. What does that tell you?
Survival, I guess.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're right that we all have a personal challenge with this pandemic. We all have to, we're not on a boat with a tiger, but we are facing a challenge. And I think it does makes us confront ourselves also.
Well, I think it's interesting because at the beginning of the movie, he's thinking that he can choose his identity and his way of life and who he's going to be, and these things happen to him, you know. And so, who we become is not just a matter of, you know, selecting from the flavor of ice cream from the menu. You know, it's also circumstances and all the things that happen to us. And he seems to learn an awful lot when he becomes completely helpless about who he is.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like the more problem he faces, the more option he has. Like,
right.
It's not about a kind of like just like you said, Jake, it's not, the identity is not only a card anymore. It's about choices, and he needs to get out of his comfort zone. And maybe just to survive, we don't know really if the lion, if the tiger was real or not, but just believing, super believing, and establishing, forming all the story on having the tiger and fighting or training or sleeping with the tiger, maybe it kept him alive until the tiger went off. And we don't know if other people saw the tiger. Obviously he didn't turn back. He was older. Maybe tiger's job was done. So maybe the tiger was never there. It was all about the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
But it helped him. So what's the value of something that we really believe, strongly believe that it is there, but we don't have to prove to everyone that tiger exists.
Yeah, I think it was, like we mentioned, it was his willpower, in my opinion, because he only needed him emotionally. The tiger didn't provide any food. The tiger didn't help him in any way other than emotionally, and it kept the tiger was a company where it kept him company, and it was a sport animal in a way. Yeah.
I like that, Rana. A tiger is a support animal.
Yeah.
That's right. You're right.
Like a rescue dog, or just like a service dog, service
Yeah.
tiger.
Yeah, now people can go on planes like with their support dog. You can,
Yeah.
if your dog is a support dog,
Yeah.
the dog doesn't have to go in the cage under the plane. You
Mhm.
can bring your support animal on the plane. So maybe people are going to bring their tigers too.
Yeah.
Well, they will look gorgeous there, tigers. They look gorgeous. But Rana, it was very hard to live with the tiger. He gave so hard time. He was about to kill, and he made Tiger made Pi leave the ship. That boat, whatever it is, and he had to go. He had to switch. Uh, that support was not easy, and it was always a job on Pi. What does
Yeah.
that tell you?
It's his father taught him earlier in his life that tigers can't be disciplined, and I think he proved him wrong for a certain amount of time because the tiger was in a very difficult condition. It was life or death, but I think at the end his father was right, because the second he got the chance, the second tiger got the chance, just left and it didn't even look back. So I think in under extreme circumstances, it is possible to discipline those animals, or in my opinion, it's a metaphor for willpower. I think it is very difficult, but it is manageable. Yeah.
And with working on the willpower, or that idea, it gives a way of living. But because after, like, he trains the tiger, he gets to enjoy the island that he went. He was very tired, they were very hungry and all that, and all of a sudden there comes a miracle, like the island, that there's food, there's resting, everything looks nice, and they feel at home, so they get to enjoy the place together. So he's a friend now.
Yeah, but that island was also very strange, because at night, it Irfan Khan in the movie said, whatever it gave you during daylight, the island took it back at night. So I think it was like, I think the tiger was aware of that also, and they knew that the island, they can't last forever in the island. It was just temporary, and it was a place of rest, like a rest area on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was it.
Mm-hmm.
This story reminds me the Castaway for Tom Hanks. I don't know if someone watched it, and he pretended that the ball is a man because he went crazy if he didn't anyone to talk to him, because it, it is impossible to be alone and you don't have anyone to share your suffering, sadness. So I think the tiger is the same for him. Maybe he feels secure when he finds the tiger, and he knows sometimes the tiger is will be harmful for him, you know. But I think I read he wanted to find something to, I don't know how to say it, to keep him alive, something like a purpose, like support him, because as I, uh, as I remember that at the Castaway, Tom Hanks still talked to the ball during the movie, and told it about everything in his life, and he know that someday, one day, he will come back to his country and his people, and but he wanted to survive, and he was sweeping when he when he missed the ball on the oceans, you know, because he connected with the ball deeply, and it was a part of his, you know. I think it is very similar, and I watched Castaway many times, you know. For me, it's an amazing movie.
Mhm.
Well, it is
Wilson.
a classic. It is a classic kind of adventure story. You know, almost like in its essence, like a Kipling, like a Rudyard Kipling adventure tale with, you know, and so I could see a comparison.
Yeah, I think that must be intentional on Jan Martel's part. You know, it's Robinson Crusoe, the Castaway is based on, of course, and Daniel Defoe, and 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 yeah, one of the things about Robinson Crusoe, I don't know if you heard the echo in this movie, is that Robinson Crusoe is a bad boy, right? And he's kind of run away from his parents, you know. Of course, in this movie, it's a terrible shipwreck and loss of family. But in Robinson Crusoe, there's a lot of guilt in Robinson about how he ended up on the ocean. And I don't know. What do you think? Did you get any sense of remorse or guilt in this one, or not at all? Right?
Hmm.
Not really, right? He's more of a boy who's without responsibility.
Uh, yeah, like not in the boy's perspective as the guilt, but I am really stuck, and I can't really picture what happened with the argument of at the ship with his dad and the chef. Like when, I mean, according to one of the beliefs, like the chef killed the parents.
Right.
So like I wonder if there is a guilt there of the boy that he couldn't maybe protect his parents.
Yeah, or save
if,
the or save the orangutan, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which is the other figure.
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't get involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those two deaths occurred either in his dreams, Rana,
Yeah.
or in reality, right? So yeah, it must be there. But
so it's all about the plan, can we say, as like, and now I can't stop compare it with Castaway, Abdul. Thank you. I thought
I am talking about only the struggle in the ocean, not about the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's different, but you know, when he tried to survive, I think it's similar in the ocean. What I mean, Tom Hanks has the ball that try to talk with it, and he knows that it is useless. The ball doesn't hear or listen to him, but he feels secured about being with him. You know, that's only what I mean. I don't talk about the whole movie. I know there is no comparison between them, but I talk about his suffering with the ocean. No, did you get what I mean?
Yeah, and I thought about Wilson, the ball. About I compared that. I did that, and now I'm gonna do. Okay, you started it, Abdul. I want to continue this. Like with Castaway, I can't remember the movie name, but I'll just say Tom Hanks' character of being super organized, planned. Everything has to be in one certain way. Everything has to be in the high quality. That was his power before that accident. He was always like, everything has to be on time. I want to eat the best seafood. My coffee has to be in this way. Timing, you can't go wrong. And he was shining before that plane accident. it was never planned. And all of a sudden, everything is planned, and even his root canal appointment was planned. And he was just like the king of planning. And all of a sudden, he is at an island with, there's not even Wilson yet. He had to really work hard to invent or build or design Wilson. He didn't even have anybody to talk. And there was a time that like he really gave up on everything. He would just sleep on the beach. But then he started looking for things. He finds the tools that he chooses to redesign them, like the ice skate is different now. Like everything is different, everything is shifting. And what I see, the similar parts between these two movies are, there is one original form that we learn in the beginning, and the original forms are super accurate. Time has to be there, you have to make money in Castaway. And on the other one, like other one, look at me, on Life of Pi, while Pi is looking for the religions are all there with its people and the lifestyle, and even with the foods. Everything is super set in the first stage of these two movies. And here, all of a sudden, are poor characters. They have to really relearn, unlearn everything they know, and they have to really find their own way. That's hard. Nothing.
Well, I think
anymore.
Eva.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that a link between Robinson Crusoe and Castaway and this movie, it's a theme in typical boys' adventure movies, and that's competence, right? And so Pi, who seems quite helpless, turns out to be fairly competent. He manages the tiger. He's able to fish. He's able to do some things. He manages quite well with the island. He figures it out. So yeah, that's a very, very common theme that the writers pick up. It's just basic competence, how to make things, how to fix things, how to survive. And Castaway, that's one of the fascinating things about that movie is he figures out how to do things, and how to take care of himself during that long period of his life.
It's interesting, you're making me think of differences of gender, because in women's fairy stories, it's often not competence, it's finding their love, finding their husband. So that's an interesting contrast between stories for boys, fairy stories for boys, and fairy stories for girls.
Oh my goodness, Karen, what did you do now? Boys are finding their own identities and girls are finding their lovers. Oh my goodness.
It just made me think of that. I took a children's literature course, like, oh God, like 50 years ago. Well, it's not 50, but it's 40 more years ago at university, and it was like out of the English department at York. And one of the themes that we looked at in stories was the quest for home. Like if you think of The Wizard of Oz, it's a quest for home, and there's many quests for home. But now you raise something different. I don't know if we must have discussed the difference between stories for boys and stories for girls,
We had a discussion. Go ahead.
Well, I read not that long ago Kim by Rudyard Kipling. But it's very bad. When I read these books, though, like if I read them 15 years ago, I can't remember much about them. But The Life of Pi was making me think of Kim, and I think Kim had Rudyard Kipling's best book. he was sort of, he was just became disparaged, Rudyard Kipling, because he was paternal. He, came out of the colonial era, and he was very paternalistic. But it was Edward Said reading of Kim saying, no, but this goes beyond Kipling's paternalism, and it's a really fine book. And I remember liking it.
Yeah.
But I can't remember much about it.
Okay, now I have a chance to ask two young adults now, because we had this discussion, and maybe I will organize one online, because the discussion we had was not recorded. We had discussion about reasoning the fairy tales, and how girls are always like, when girls are there, it's all about how they look and how they keep themselves ready for the prince, and the prince comes all of a sudden, and even if the girl is dead, the prince can come and kiss the girl. And like well, if we didn't know the original story, and if we didn't know the fancy pictures, it sounds awful that the prince comes and kiss the dead girl. Like there's big drama there, and the discussion was so fun and surprisingly ending.
Though, the meaning of that kiss, what that kiss.
Would you like to share?
Well, it's a little embarrassing, but really the meaning of that kiss is like the sexual awakening.
Mm-hmm.
That's what all those stories with these kisses of the person being dead, and then they kiss them.
Yeah. And it's all about like these girls are just like, they were somehow isolated, and they are saved with this one person, that it's not an option. It's just there, like you just have to take it and all that. But I'm not sure if like young adults now, Abdo and Rana, like does it seem, do these characters seem this desperate to you, or is it only, I'll call three of us now, Jay, Karen, and me. Were we this miserable? Or like, do you feel connected with these stories? Like, do you see the gender? Did you see Pi's gender in this story, Rana? Or did you take him as like a person?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that while watching it. What if it was a girl instead of a boy in that situation? And I don't think it would matter as much at all, in my opinion, but there might be other opinions. And I think those kinds of things, survival is it's a universal instinct. It will apply to both men and women. And I think a woman would act the same way in that situation.
Yeah. And Abdo, I have a question for you now, but I want to finish up with Rana. Like about the fairy tales, Rana, like the Snow White or Cinderella and all others. Do you take them as like, are they part of your life? Like how do you see those girls?
I think it's very, very much objectifying and just imposing that to kids at an early age. But I will admit, I never actually saw it that way. I never see it. I didn't think it was problematic at the time when I was a kid. But now that I look back at it, yeah, I don't think it is, right? But yeah, it's part of our universal culture, because the kids around the world see
Do you
these.
feel,
I grew up in Turkey and I saw this while growing up. So everyone is imposed by it. Yeah.
do you feel connected to those fairy tales?
No, not at all, actually.
Okay.
No, it didn't affect me. I don't think it affected me in any way.
Okay. Thank you. Abdo, what about you? What do you think about the gender of like the main character being boy in Life of Pi? Now we have Robinson Crusoe, thanks to Jay, and Castaway. Does it mean does it have a special meaning that they're all boys? How do you see that?
For me, like Cinderella, I think is like a fairy tale, you know, and um, I don't feel connected with the movie because I know, you know, it's a fairy tale and not everything is possible, you know. I don't know, but I always love watching it to amuse and interest myself, and I think it's a long time I didn't watch it for a long time, so I don't
Mm,
know, but I don't feel connected with it.
okay. So do you think if the main character of these three movies were women or girl, do you think the story will change, or do you think it would stay same?
You mean Castaway and Life of Pi?
Yeah, and
I
Robinson
do,
Crusoe too.
yeah. And I do think with Castaway it would have been different because it was a different type of movie where I think it would be very different if the character was a girl, and because Tom Hanks' character gets a lot of time to be by his own and think and act in certain type of ways compared to Pi, I believe, because Pi was just pure survival. But with the Castaway, it is still about survival, but it is mostly about his emotional survival. While trying to find a way to get home, he had a lot by his own, and I think it would have been different if he was a girl, and she would have a different experience.
Can you give one example of what difference you would see if it was a girl, Rana? I'm super curious now.
Yeah.
I don't think a girl would have made Wilson. I don't know. At least I wouldn't have think of that, or at least I wouldn't have named him Wilson the Wall. I would have maybe talked to something else, or talked to a crab that I found on the beach or something. But that's not really a good example because I don't know. I would have to think about it, but I don't know how it will affect directly.
Mm-hmm. Would anybody like to comment in what they would think will be the difference if the characters were girls or women?
I mean, it would be interesting to tell the story in the exact same way and just have the character be a woman. And I mean, in newer stories, like in the Harry Potter stories, the girl, Hermione, she's certainly, you know, into competence, and she kind of is very competent, even more competent than Harry Potter. I mean, that's an interesting series because Harry Potter is sort of understated. The lead character is understated compared to Hermione and even to the other characters. I mean, I think you could these days retell that story and just have it be a girl and not change anything.
Mm-hmm.
I have my son is 15 years old, and I'm going to offend at least three of you, I think, by saying this, but him and I talk about, he talks about this kind of thing, not without me coaching, and he finds that in his culture, the Netflix movies and Harry Potter and so on, that generally the girl is given this role of being more competent, more intelligent, braver, and so on. That's typically And my son, again, I'll offend you by saying this, but he says they usually give the girl the boy's role, right? That's his perspective. Yeah, that's what him and his friends believe. And of course, they don't go to school and say that out loud because they'd be in trouble for that. But that's their feeling. Is that
No, your son
That's
is
super interesting.
your
Wow.
son's right. But
And honest.
the girl has
right.
agency. The girl has agency, you know, and the boys are often weaker and uncertain and that sort of thing. So, and Harry Potter brought that to mind, right?
It doesn't offend me at all. I mean, now there is a conscious, because there's a real conscious effort on the part of writers to subvert things and to retell things and to, which actually, I'm not politically correct at all as a person or a writer, and I hate kind of when art is trying so hard to be politically correct. It actually makes me crazy, you know. So
well, him and his friends are shrewd though. They see that they see that the mechanics going on behind the scenes, the politics. They actually see that, so that's why they talk as they do, you know, because they've been in school and they see how that's taking place. Unfortunately, though, is they don't take it seriously. Right? They don't take it seriously. This is like a performance at school. You know, this is just play acting, right? And you know, so yeah.
Yeah, I do. That doesn't offend me in any way. I do actually agree with you. I think the movie industry, especially, they've been trying to make a change in that way, because 20 years ago you wouldn't see that many female characters or that many people of color characters, and I think it's been changing, and the industry has been shifting. It's in a good way, and I think in a few generations later maybe it wouldn't be as hopefully they won't even notice that, and it wouldn't be a different thing. It wouldn't be a new thing.
Karen, were you saying something? We'll just wrap it up now. I'll start the recording. We can continue after the recording too, but let's wrap it up.
No, I think it's good because I'm feeling sleepy.
Okay. Okay. Well, I just wanted to address it's honest, okay, what your son's perspective, and thanks for sharing that here. It seems like,
well, he'd be very embarrassed if he knew I told you.
Has he seen the movie The Life of Pi?
Yeah, I think we did see it together. Yeah.
Did he like it?
He liked the beginning. He was upset by the killings on the boat, and the island part. He had tuned out by then. So, yeah.
well, I wanna wrap up with this idea of like what is happening. What do I want to bring from Life of Pi to today and to all of these everything we discussed today. It seems like we are, with the pandemic going on and with what's happening in US and all around the world, it seems like the domino effect started and nobody was really planning on what we are going through. Things are super fast and all that. I'm just happy to really see the power in my own self and with everyone that we are really not supposed to go back. Obviously, we can't go back anyway, but where we want to go, we can really officially and maybe radically make changes on who we want to be. And I think that's the chance in a chaos or maybe a trauma or a depression, when Pi realized like he can't go back to his homeland, like he lost many things. He didn't give up. And it was this certain one main point of the movie, like the huge big storm. That was the time that he was able to start speaking instead of seeking for, I will just say maybe divine or the power, or maybe let's call love, but he was trying to find a power or a divine directly in the temple or the mosque or the church. He was looking, but there was a time that his main structured problematic scene where he was alone with the tiger and under a big storm, and that's I had tears there. He yells and he says like, I'm ready, I am here, I expect what I take in what you want to give me. So I think that was powerful, that he found the strength to really, instead of surging the power in different people or place, he was directly communicating. And then the movie changes after that. And I think that's how I wanna see either the trauma or pandemic or the things like unmade plans. After that, like we can just, it gives the person the power to really stop and ask, like, what was I looking for again? What is it? Like, where was I? Who was I, or who do I want to be? And especially with young adults now, we have two. But like it's a big power to really able to ask that to ourselves. And since nobody knows what's going to happen, so anything that we wanted to happen can happen, especially with all the crisis on racism and gender going around in the world now. So I'm looking for some more peaceful and positive way to end this recording. So please step in for more hopeful and self-identity, peaceful findings.
And I mean,
to that.
You have created community by bringing us together just to talk about a film. I mean, when I moved away from Toronto to go up north, the thing I really missed about Little Italy was every morning I used to go to a cafe, and then sometimes I would just chat with people even for a few minutes. So I mean, we are missing that a lot in the pandemic. So the Zoom is allowing us to connect with people, make a kind of virtual cafe and fill the soul that way. And actually, it's a great idea to pick a film to discuss.
And you know, in the movie, the reporter says that the movie has a good ending. Your life has, that story has a good ending, because he actually goes back to normal life, and he's married and has 2 kids. So I think in that perspective, you know, the pandemic, it was something unexpected, like that accident, but it got okay at the end. So hopefully that will happen with us too.
Thank you, Rana. And thank you, Karen. No, now, Aldo and Jay, your turn to finish this happy. We believe in happy endings, okay?
Stuck with the image of Rana walking down the street with her support tiger. That's it. So that's my smile for the end of the night.
Abdul, nice. What do you think?
Movie?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a blockbuster, and I am very curious to watch it because sometimes you can find in your way something that you hate, but you have to deal with it. Maybe, you know, you can find some problems, circumstances in your way that hinder you from achieving everything. And I think this movie summarized maybe everything about in our life, like coronavirus pandemic, you know, everything. So I think it's a good movie and a good experience and the opportunity to meet with you because I feel stuck at home and joining you make me happy. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Where are you? Where are you calling from?
No, now I living in Egypt, but I grew up in Arizona for about 10 years.
Ah,
But I had to come back Egypt, but I will come back again Arizona within 2 years to finish my military service firstly, and I will come back Arizona.
are you in Cairo?
Now, yeah, I'm in Cairo.
Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, thank you, Karen.
Amazing.
Well, we're looking for, yeah, good luck, Abdul. We're looking for that you'll be back in Arizona.
I hope, yeah,
Stay safe there too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
Rana, any last words before I
Well,
stop recording?
it was great to be here to talk to you guys, and thanks for inviting me. I think it was very nice, and it was a good opportunity to remember Irfan Khan, which I really enjoyed his acting, and yeah, it was a good time, especially during this pandemic. I think it was really nice. Thank you for having me.
I learned a lot.
Me too.
Thank you for joining, Rana. I know it's you are going through some moving around and all that, so this was extra effort for you, and I appreciate your time and participation.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you. And Abdo, thank you for joining from all the way Egypt. Hope to catch up again. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Karen.
Good night.
Bye, Jay.